Lehman Brothers, as you know, filed the biggest bankruptcy in history. It was September 2008. Well, a bankruptcy examiner's report now finds that its then CEO, Dick Fuld, was negligent for understating its leverage. Well, our next guest says Lehman pulled off the crime of the century. He's Larry McDonald, and author of A Colossal Failure of Common Sense, the inside story of the collapse of Lehman Brothers. Larry was also trader, vice president Lehman. He's now managing director at Pangea Capital Management. We're pleased to have him join us with his unique perspective. He's also former trader, current Bloomberg Markets desk reporter Adam Johnson joins me as well. So, Larry, welcome to you. First, I want to kind of give our viewers an idea of your role in the examiner's inquiry. You were actually interviewed for this, so tell me about that experience and what you told the examiner.
Well, they called me on the phone, and you know, they basically were, you know, we'll talk over a short period of time on the phone, but they wanted me to go downtown, and I didn't want to go to their offices and be, you know, have to hire legal counsel and go through a really difficult process. So I participated on the phone, and that was it. And okay. I said, if you want any more, you're going to have to subpoena me, and thank God they never subpoenaed me.
Okay, so what questions did he ask? What information do you think he provided? And then do you think in the end, in this report, is it a thorough job?
Well, you know, the biggest thing is there's so many people out there that have been hurt in this financial crisis. I mean, 401ks have become 201ks. We've lost millions of jobs since Lehman fell. And they were most interested in some of the people that I spoke with when I wrote the book. I spoke with 200 people in writing this book, A Colossal Failure of Common Sense. And I spoke with high-level accounting people that had problems, very serious problems with our GAAP standard, our accounting standards, and some of the accounting moves that were going on inside of Lehman Brothers.
So the research found that the issue was largely with these repurchase agreements, those that the examiner says led to Lehman hiding some $50 billion of borrowing on the balance sheet. You mentioned the accountants. Did you have any idea that was going on while you were at Lehman Brothers?
Well, not when I was going on there. I mean, Lehman Brothers is like a giant aircraft carrier with many different departments. Lehman was never rotten at the core. That's where all the beauty was. She was rotten at the head.
Hey, that's a great point. You were a Lehman trader. I was a hedge fund trader. I used to do literally 99% of my options business with Lehman, the ultimate integrity operation. My question is, how is it that the trading desk was so good and had it so right, and the executive office was so bad?
We were on the floor in 2007, 2006. We were short a lot of these subprimes. We were, you know, setting up the firm, trying to protect the firm against a lot of this exposure.
Exactly, the right trade to have on.
The right trade to have on. We made $2 billion in 2007 in our department as a group. And but the problem was, for every dollar we were making, they were losing like 6 or 7 upstairs.
And no one knew that.
No one knew it.
So, end of the day, what do you think the role or the responsibility of the management, specifically then CEO Dick Fuld, is? And what kind of punishment do you think that he should receive?
That's the biggest thing. I'm on a global lecture tour. I've been speaking at banks and insurance companies around the world. And the biggest questions I get is, you know, what was wrong with Mr. Fuld? Were there health issues? Did he just seemed to be, you know, really took his eye off the ball that entire year of 2008. He was focused on the wrong things. And the examiner is going to have a very difficult time with Mr. Fuld going forward.
Now, of course, he brought in Erin Callan, so supposed to bring some glamour into the executive office. She was the then CEO. Obviously, if he was not in, certainly she was monitoring the helm. We have some video that when we spoke to her back when she was CFO. You got to listen to this.
I think there's a huge confidence issue around our industry that isn't completely undeserved based on many of the things that have happened over the past 9 to 12 months. I would say, though, that for us in particular, we have a very specific game plan. It may not be exactly aligned with others, but we have a game plan about how we're deleveraging and de-risking our balance sheet.
Wow, deleveraging and de-risking. What went wrong?
You know, this is the greatest hide the salami move in the history of Wall Street. I mean, this Repo 105, we're going to hear these words over and over again for the next 6 months. They were taking assets, moving them into the Cayman Islands, marking it as a sale on the balance sheet, getting cash, and Lehman's leverage was going down during these transactions. I mean, it's absolutely...
Well, making the leverage appear to go down.
Exactly.
When it really wasn't, because they'd be then getting the assets back when the swap was over.
It's hide the salami, and, you know, going forward...
Okay, let me challenge you with this. And Adam's the expert here, but do you think it's plausible at all that the CEO, that Fuld felt it better not to disclose this use of accounting as a protection measure because of the stuff falling down around him, and also Wall Street was shorting these bank shares at the time?
Well, that's the real bombshell. I mean, there's a real daisy cutter bombshell in this report, and that is Bart McDade. His testimony contradicts Richard Fuld's testimony. Richard Fuld said in the report that he didn't really know much about these repo 105s. Mr. McDade says that he walked him through this. So it's one or the other, and that's where there's going to be real problems going forward.
Is there a precedent? Were there other institutions that were using these repurchase agreement to manage?
I think the one thing about this story is whatever Lehman Brothers was doing wrong, I'm sure Merrill Lynch and other financial institutions were doing. These are classic games, and the problem is these people on Wall Street are 2 steps ahead of the regulators at all turns. It's the bad news bears versus the New York Yankees. We need talented people in the SEC that understand advanced accounting shenanigans, and we have to fix the SEC, the FDIC, and the New York Fed. Tim Geithner was there when this was happening.
Now, key question, Dick Fuld, as you just mentioned, says he wasn't aware of the swaps. You worked at Lehman. The rumor was always that Dick Fuld ran the place with an iron hand and knew everything that was happening. Do you buy the fact or his statement that he didn't know what was really happening in terms of the swaps?
Do I buy it? I probably do. There was problem was.
In spite of the fact that he ran the place with an iron hand?
He spent a lot of time the last 2 years focused on, not just him, his entire upper team spent a lot of time on just the wrong things. They were focused on philanthropy. Mr. Fuld had a $200 million art collection. We were opening up offices in Dubai. We spent tens and tens of millions of dollars in flights back and forth in private jets, opening offices all around the world. So really it was
the CFO then who was responsible, and in this case it would appear Aaron Kellen.
Yeah.
These balance sheets are so complex with these structures. We're talking repo 105, repo 108. Are you confident, Larry, that this financial regulatory reform, Christopher Dodd's going to release his bill on Monday, can address these issues so that we can understand what's going on with these banks and how they're booking? So
far, first of all, it's a travesty that, I like President Obama, but, they're so focused on health care. The Republicans and Democrats, a year and a half after Lehman's failure, still aren't agreeing on the basic tenets of this legislation.
Well, Dodd's going to give us something on Monday, though.
I hope so, but it's focused. It's not addressing the problem with the boards of directors. I mean, I address this in my book, A Colossal Theory of Common Sense. These boards of directors are completely a mess. I mean, look at the Bank of America board. Half the board are people from outside of finance. The other half are people, regional bankers, and they're not people that really understand 21st century financial products.
Sure appreciate you delving into this topic with us. Thanks so much, Larry McDonald. Now managing director of Pangea Capital Management, used to work for Lehman Brothers. Back